Now, when you give therapy to someone, is it, on a one-time basis, or do they come see you for a month or 2 months or 6 months? How does that usually work?
It really depends on the client. Usually clients, we kind of average is about 6 to 8 sessions for the issues that they're dealing with. Obviously, clients who have been victims of trauma and intimate partner violence, who've been victims of abuse, they often have deeper issues that they need to discuss that can be ongoing. And this is particularly true of women who've been victims of intimate partner violence, because they not only are dealing with the aftermath of what happened, but they're often dealing with the court systems as well, where their partners are using the litigation system to continue to try and argue for things like child custody. And so, for example, like abusive fathers are more than twice as likely to petition for full custody as non-abusive fathers. Mm-hmm. And so they will use the court system to go through this process of making false claims, using CPS, making anonymous calls against the other partner. They'll be using court documents to basically continue to stalk and harass the partner, because now they have their contact information. And they will often use the children to continue to abuse the partner, because what they do is they psychologically manipulate them into siding with them, mm-hmm. and seeing the other partner as an unfit parent. Mm-hmm. They'll often use things like gifts and rewards and things like that to try and demonstrate that they're a more caring parental figure. But then once they start to get what they want, either out of the court system or through the children or whatever it happens to be, those behaviors stop. And they basically that's when they kind of start to show their abusive side towards their children. And it's oftentimes after they have been rewarded full custody or partial custody.
I've been involved in several of those types of cases. I don't know about you, Elizabeth.
I have definitely been involved in that.
And, I've been on both sides of it. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting thing to be on different sides. Mm-hmm. But you know what I noticed? That a lot of times the quote unquote abusive father convinces everybody in the court system.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And gets custody.
Really good. They're good at that.
Right. Because what tends to happen is people who are narcissistic, who have antisocial personality mm-hmm. disorder, they are experts at emotional manipulation. And so what they will do is they will portray themselves as the calm and rational parent mm-hmm. in the court system. And then what will tend to happen is the partner who's the survivor will often appear emotionally unstable, because part of what's happening is they're getting emotionally triggered by just being in the same room with the abusive partner. They're having those traumatic memories come up, and so their bodies are emotionally flooded as they're trying to engage with the courts, and as they're seeing their abuser gaining the trust of the courts, those memories of seeing how their abuser was able to manipulate family members, police, wow. Schools, other people who are involved with the family, those memories are coming up as well. And so they're also getting frustrated. They're getting getting worried that their abuser is essentially winning the argument in the court case. And so they come across as emotionally unstable.
Exactly.
And because judges in these court cases are often less experienced, because these are kind of the family courts are really, they're not particularly high profile, and they also have a large caseload. They're often coming in inexperienced. They're not aware that these kinds of behaviors can exist, and so they're getting manipulated in the same way as other people who might have been able to provide help and support to the victim, as family members and other protectors. So.
Well, let me ask you this: as an attorney, and if I'm representing, say, the mom who's being made out to be, crazy, and dad has convinced everyone that this abuse never happened or didn't happen and couldn't happen, what do you think my client and I should be doing with trying to convince the social worker or trying to convince the judge or trying to convince the minor's attorney that this guy is really playing us?
My thought was, I wish we could get this guy as an expert to testify about behaviors like that, because that's exactly, like you just said it on the head about so many of the cases that I do have. I currently have one where the father's just so bad, and he's got the child so sucked up into, he literally tells the mom, I don't want to live with you anymore. I don't, I want to stay here, go away. And he has isolated that child, and he has an unhealthy, over loving, strange kind of relationship with his child. I mean, they share a room. There's only one bed. Yeah. The child is he's not 2. He's, at least like 11, I want to say. Yeah. And that's exactly what's going on. And what happens is during interviews, because I've been present there, the department continues to ask these questions that really they really get the parent's goat. You know what I mean? They're almost as bad as this abuser coming at them, because they're believing all these things that are going on. And they're basically saying, well, tell us why we shouldn't believe it. Not, they've already come to believe whatever it is true. Right. So I didn't want to, I'm sorry. I do want to hear an answer to what you said. But I really do think that he has some great stuff to offer there, right, Vince? I mean, as
Absolutely.
far as, because we do have expert witnesses that testify as to, conduct about certain types of conduct and behavior and patterns. And this is a great one, I think, for that DV personality controller manipulator. Right. Man, so what can our clients do?
Well, I think one of the big things that comes up, is that the survivors, again, as I was mentioning, tend to react, come from like a position of, like they're emotionally overwhelmed.
Right.
And so being able to just kind of take a step back to recognize what's happening, that that the person who is your abuser is trying to get a reaction. And so when you're interacting with them on things like, is it called Talk Parent or
Parent Talking, whatever.
Just making sure that you're presenting yourself in as, emotionally controlled way as possible, so that basically you're saying and using things like I statements, like, I understand that this is the situation. I'm, this is what I want. And I understand that you want something else, but we need to come to an agreement that is best for the children, and holding to whatever the issue is, and so, because they'll throw things at at them. That's when they'll start to use the psychologically manipulative tactics where they become abusive, and saying to, and doing whatever it is and saying, okay, I hear you. I understand that you're upset, but this is what I need. This is why I need this. This is why I can't give you what you need. And we need to do what's best for the children, or whatever it happens to be.
We're going to take another break. We're going to continue with that topic when we come back after these messages. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win.